Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Ryden. Now, I know you, our conscientious viewer, have never done this, but for some less than honest children, there was a time when they desperately needed to cut class. So they wrote a note to their teacher from their parents. What was the giveaway? It wasn't really from their parents because it was printed. When we know, at least when I was a kid, all parents wrote in cursive, and we couldn't. Now, our guest, DemedresLGrant, is here from Long Beach, California, to talk about the virtues of a writing style that's fallen out of favor in recent years, the aforementioned cursive. Her book is titled Cursive Learning Adventures, a fun guide to beautiful handwriting. Welcome, Dee. Glad to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm happy to be here.
Now, I think we all know the answer, but what happened to cursive handwriting? Is it all the computer's fault?
Actually, it started with typewriters, oddly enough.
Oh,
So it
okay.
literally started with the typewriters, in colleges and teachers preferring, of course, to see a nice, neat looking paper. We
Right.
want you to do it on typewriter, and that's where the downfall of cursive writing started with the use of the typewriter, oddly enough.
Well, why isn't it being taught in schools anymore?
Well, what I'm learning is, originally they actually did studies with teachers across the nation. And again, it's just falling out of favor with teachers teaching it. Again, the digital age, students are more into that digital, into using their phones or digital products to write, computers. And again, with the neatness of it all in testing, having, to fail a kid because I can't understand their cursive writing rather than everybody's writing in block or typing it. We can understand it. So it did actually fall out of favor first with teachers, not with parents, with
Well, that's
teachers.
interesting. Do people
Mhm.
just not see a need for it anymore? I mean,
Exactly. And that's basically it. They just did not see a need for it, but that's changing. They
well,
they, you know.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Why is it important that we learn if it's easier to read when you type it or print it, why should we try to learn cursive then? Why is it important?
Well, okay. Are you familiar with Maria Montessori?
I know the name Montessori, Montessori
Okay.
schools, of course.
There you go, and that's who she is, and she deemed that it is harder to teach a child straight lines than it is to teach them curved lines, okay?
Mhm.
And with we're learning with again, well, I shouldn't say again, with California, back in 2023, bringing, this legislation to bring it back, they're learning that motor skills in the younger
Oh.
kids, it was helpful. And they're losing those motor skills because they're no longer learning cursive.
Huh.
So it's funny to me because originally cursive was brought on not for motor skills for children. It was just a form of writing to make it faster. We're not breaking quills
Mhm.
because we're lifting our quills or our steel dipping pins. We're not breaking them.
Oh,
And
right.
that's originally where cursive came from to make it easier just and quicker, a quicker way to write. But now, as we move forward in history or in time, we're learning that it actually is good for our young kids, you know, and
Oh.
and just our simple individuality.
Well, that's interesting that it really cursive has not been there all along. It was kind of the new thing because
Mhm,
everything you see all those, the Gutenberg Bible and all that, it's
mhm.
printed out.
Print
Uh,
it out.
and it wasn't until that's a good point. They didn't have to lift their pens anymore. And then it
Mhm,
comes to motor skills and stuff. I learned I'm of the age where I did learn cursive when I was in school, but I
mhm.
eventually devolved into sort of a hybrid of printing and typing or and cursive, and this is what it looks like now. This is how I write now. It's fast
Yeah.
and easy, but sometimes it's hard to read even for me. So
But
I
see,
thought before this interview, I thought I'm
mhm,
going to try my hand at cursive and see if I can remember how that went. This is the result. I don't know if you can see it very well.
that looks really
Well,
nice.
it's much prettier, but it takes too long to write, and it looks like it was written by a 10-year-old. So I
Yeah,
think
and
maybe that's one of the advantages of cursive. It makes us slow down.
that is true. That is true. If you want your penmanship to look nice.
Yeah.
My mother said I wrote like a doctor. So I you couldn't understand anything I wrote. So I had to practice. And so, of course, and that's the best thing to do. Practice. You keep doing it. Books like this aren't just for children. There are so many adults, again, that have created their hybrid form, and even with your form of partial block, partial cursive, that is a form of cursive.
Oh,
That
really?
is, yeah, there are some forms that are straight, you never lift your
Mhm.
hand off that paper, or you do this, you lift, then you come back down. That's a different form. So there's different types
Oh.
of cursive writing. So you're actually writing cursive, just
Well, there you go. I had no
yeah,
idea. I'm a
a
cursive
hybrid.
writer. I didn't even know it. And
Absolutely,
my
absolutely.
94-year-old mother writes beautifully in cursive. Her
I
hand's getting a little
bet.
shaky now, but she's always written in cursive,
I
and
bet.
yeah, it's lovely.
I bet.
How does cursive writing allow for personality and individuality to come out?
Well, let's think about it like this. For me, I just remember when I was learning cursive, one of my favorite things to write was my name.
Hmm.
And as I've gotten older, I still write cursive. My my signature has changed over time,
Hmm.
but my signature is like my fingerprint.
Uh,
No one has my signature. And then, then let's be real. This is why we have people who have jobs looking at a person's writing to see if did this person write this. Our signature is very unique, like a snowflake, like a fingerprint. And you could block letter that all day long and it can look the same. You're perfect block letters. You can't, you're the same person in writing in block. But that signature tells a person who you are,
but
you know.
but but beyond the signature, just regular prose that you write with in cursive, if everybody learns properly, uh, aren't they all going to start looking the same anyway?
No, again, I truly believe everybody is an individual,
Mhm.
and we have our own styles. So the way I write a D in cursive is not going to be the same way you write a D in
Oh,
cursive,
okay.
right? Again, you have writing experts who can discern one person's writing from another. We're individuals, and we could see it in our writing,
Hmm.
and it's an important. That is very important, and I feel like starting at a younger age it's very important to teach them at a very young age how important it is to learn cursive because you do feel like an individual when you see yourself writing and you see your own script and you feel proud about it.
Mhm.
And then you start making it a little different. And so, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Bottom line,
Do
it's
you
beautiful.
see it coming back? I know you said legislation is coming along. Do
I know it.
you
I
think
know it
kids are gonna
is.
actually take to it?
I I believe so because I have talked to not only my child, but a lot of different children or kids or young people in my family and friends, and they are frustrated that, oh, I don't know how to write cursive. I don't know how to write cursive. My daughter didn't have cursive in school, but I taught it to her,
Mhm.
and she didn't take to it at first, but now she's gone back to it as an adult, like, eh, I don't like the way I write, and I want to learn how to write. She has this book.
Oh, is that right?
So
How old is she?
absolutely, she's 24 years old.
Okay. Yeah.
She's 24 years old, and I'm seeing this across the board, not just in California and not with just adults. I'm seeing kids want to learn how to write cursive. It's
Mhm.
coming back, and it's gonna come back strong, and I believe kids will start using it. I think we should start writing letters again, but that's just me.
Right, well, now if you had a background as, an English teacher, maybe I could see wanting to write this book, but you came from a information technology background, I believe.
Mhm, mhm,
What made you wanna
absolutely.
write this book?
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you, I was laid off after 27 years of working in information technology and just going crazy as to what did I want to do? And this subject kept coming up in my circle,
Mhm.
and for me. And when it first happened to me and I found out my child was not going to be taught cursive, I decided to move into publishing and writing. And oddly enough, the first book that I just kept thinking about it because a lot of people write for this, and
Mhm.
that's, I love children. I write for kids, I write for learning,
Mhm.
and I wanted to do something that I was passionate about. And I'm passionate about cursive writing not disappearing, not going away, not being swept under the rugs. Let's bring it back. Let's teach our children how to write. Let's get the motor skills together at an early age, and let's see what they can do when they get older. When you teach them how to learn write cursive
What do
as a
you
child.
hope that writers or readers get out of the book besides learning how to learn cursive, of course, but, are they is this just sort of a manifesto, a statement about the greatness of cursive, or is it more of an instruction book?
No, it actually kinda ties in. I like a little bit of the history that's in the book. It just kinda just as far as, it was how important it was back in the day, and let's, see we're seeing how it's disappearing, and let's bring it back, and here's a tool.
Mhm,
If you wanna help me bring it back, get this tool, and you can learn and you can practice, and every day you can get better with all the people that I've talked to who wanna learn how to write. And like I said, there's a little history in it, not a lot, but a little bit, something that you can touch on and maybe reach out and do a little reading yourself. But there's some wonderful history in cursive writing. Absolutely.
yeah, what do you hope is the result of people say a whole bunch of people learn cursive?
Mhm.
What is the ultimate result you'd like to see? What are the
More
benefits of
writing,
that?
more writing. I
Really?
believe I believe reading and writing goes hand in hand.
Mhm,
I truly believe that. And if we I think we're dumbing our children down because we're taking more away from it. Cursive writing seems so simple, but it's really not that simple. Reading and writing goes hand in hand. And you start taking these things away, you're going to start dumbing our society down
mhm,
in the end. So let's keep it together. Let's keep our writing and our reading together. And and again, I believe people learn more when they are writing it down.
mhm.
You learn faster,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
I've read
definitely.
and I'd actually just read another article about how cursive writing helps, people with ADHD.
Really?
And just yeah, it was just a quick little article I read, and it threw me off because I have ADHD.
Yeah.
And
Welcome to the
I
club.
lean so much towards writing in cursive rather than block letters. And
Mhm.
I didn't know, I had no idea, just something I came across, with my own studies of cursive writing. I had no idea. So there's a lot of benefits to cursive writing. So it's not just to write pretty, it's not just to have a signature. We have our motor skills, we're learning the benefits of students who have ADHD. Again, it's broad
I
in
wonder if
reading and writing.
I wonder if we'll go back to the time when, you'd sit down, "Okay, I'm going to do my correspondence now," and sit at the desk and write a letter out by hand and
Mhm.
put it in an envelope and send it off. That would be a nice little thing to slow us
Mhm.
down, I think, too. I think that's
As a
part of it,
society.
to slow it down. Now, when you
Yeah.
write, though, you're probably good enough at cursive to where it becomes more natural. Now, with me, as you
Mhm.
saw that by that example, it takes a long time, but eventually, I guess you speed up.
Right,
But
right.
but I remember we used to about 40 years ago, we were, corresponding with a prisoner, and he had the most beautiful, cursive writing.
Mhm,
It's just
mhm.
it really is, almost like a personality.
Exactly, and you see it just shining through in that writing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's beautiful,
Mm.
and I just hope to see it more. I hope to see it more.
Well, when you I don't know if you journal or anything like that, or when you do any writing, you do it in cursive, I assume?
I do. I write in cursive. I honestly, I don't even know if I know how to write in block letter anymore, you
That's
know?
funny because whenever I write in by hand, I almost do
Mhm,
everything on a computer, but when I do write by hand in a journal or something like that, my hand can't keep up with my thoughts, and it becomes so
mhm,
messy that I can't even read it when I'm finished. It's almost like
mm,
shorthand. It's crazy.
right. I've had that
So,
happen before,
would
so I
help you to
understand.
slow down, I guess.
I mean, you keep hitting on the point, slow down. And that is a very good point. As a society, we do need to slow down,
Mhm.
with all this technology out there and it eating away at our children's brains, just that screen time, sit down and let's just write something, journal.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Writing is very important, very important.
Or
And again, you taking it away is not doing our children any justice at all. Instead of writing, they're putting a phone in their hand, a tablet in their hand.
yeah,
They're not even using a typewriter at this point.
yeah.
So
And of course, then
it's
there's always the fonts that look like handwriting, so they can type it out and it looks like
mhm.
handwriting. Oh,
Yeah, but you know what? That one is, again, not individual. That
no.
I've seen those fonts,
Right.
but they're not individual, so you can have 10 kids using that same font, and it's all gonna look
Yeah.
like a typed out document
So,
in a cursive font.
what other projects have you got going on? You gonna do a sequel to this? More cursive? Cursive 2?
Um, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a sequel. I'm gonna see, how the response on this book
Yeah.
because I do want people to see this book, and I want people to really get into it and learn and wanna learn, and if I see people want more, I'll give you more. I like I said, I love children. I put out a few coloring books, and,
Yeah.
I actually am in the process of, publishing a poetry book. I publish for other people, a vegan book, and I'm in the process of publishing a menopause book for us older gals. So I'm a little bit of everywhere. But again, I do love children and I love for children to grow, to be better. And if I can do anything to help a child grow, and my whole family knows I'm the
Mm,
family member who loves the kids.
sounds like
That's
my
what I'm gonna
wife.
do.
Yep.
That's what I'm gonna do. And then, if I can build on this book, I would love to. I would love for people to be as on fire as I am
Well,
about cursive
well,
learning,
one way
you
for
know?
them to get on fire is to get your book. It's called Cursive Learning Adventures, a fun guide to beautiful handwriting by Dee Grant, and it's available on Amazon. Dee, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, folks back home, for spending a few minutes with us on Global Book Network. And I will say that this is the end. Thanks
Absolutely
for joining us. I'm
beautiful.
Paul. I'm Paul Ryden. You have a great day, and we'll see you next time.